Everyone, thank you so much for coming along tonight. Sorry for the slightly delayed start. So tonight we have essentially an interactive Q&A with Mr. Stephen Sondheim, who is joining us from New York, yes? Good. Joining us via video link from New York. So as I'm sure you're all aware, Mr. Sondheim, he's one of the most renowned American composers of his time, who's made a huge contribution to musical theatre in the 50 years or so that he's been working. He has 8 Tony Awards, 8 Grammy Awards, among his many other achievements, and his works include Sweeney Todd and a huge number of other works. So tonight will be an interactive Q&A, so you'll all have the chance to ask as many questions as you like of Mr. Sondheim, and he'll reply to them as best as he can. So, Oliver, are you going to... so please put your hands together to welcome Mr. Sondheim. Thank you. Mr. Sondheim, can you hear us okay?
Yes, I can hear you.
Excellent, thank you. So, do we have any, well, we might as well get started straight away. Do we have any first questions from the floor? Someone must want to go first.
Well, maybe it's
lady on the end. If you could wait for a microphone to reach you, just so that it can be picked up by the cameras.
Evening, Steve, it's Lynn. How are you?
Okay,
I just wanted to ask you, we thoroughly enjoyed seeing the film of Into the Woods, seen it twice. The cut songs, when are they likely to be published for performance?
Would have been published?
The songs that
do you mean recorded?
No, available as sheet music.
The sheet music? Well, all the songs are recorded. All the songs are in sheet music, except for the new one.
That's the one I'm talking about, the new one.
Oh, yes. I have no idea whether it'll be published or not.
Okay, thank you.
There isn't much market for published music these days.
Okay, thanks.
Do we have another question from the audience? Gentleman there on the right.
Hi. I just had a quick question with regards to when somebody asks you to compose a piece of music for them, and they give you the idea of the film or the musical, how does your ideas often compare to the producers or the directors or the actors, and can it sometimes be a bit almost confrontational? We have different ideas of how to go about producing the music, and perhaps your music doesn't always reflect what the director originally intended. So how do you go about arranging those different dilemmas?
I think you have a mistaken idea of how shows get put together. It doesn't come from the director. The director serves the writers. But it starts with the writer, and then it's up to the director to direct it. Occasionally, a director will have an idea, but essentially, it's a writer's medium. Movies are a director's medium. The theater's a writer's medium. So if there's any confrontation, any disagreement, it's the director disagreeing with what the author has done. But usually you tell the director in advance what you're going to do, or he wouldn't want to direct the show if he didn't approve of what's there anyway. At any rate, it's my idea, not the director's, and my collaborator's idea. My collaborator being the book writer, and we start the piece, and it's our any musical is our idea, unless perhaps a producer has said, "Would you like to do a musical of Gone with the Wind" or something like that? But we start the idea, and then we give it to a director and producer. So they come in on the project later, and they serve the piece, and the writer is the one who generates it.
And do any of the directors you've ever worked with have difficulties working in that style of relationship? Perhaps some who are more used to working in perhaps movie production.
No, most theater directors come from the theater. It's rare that a movie director suddenly goes to the theater. That has happened, and the story of Vincent Minnelli, the movie director, who had started as an art director in the theater. He went to Hollywood and made a enormous success, came back to direct a musical, and looked at the dress rehearsal and then said, When we moved the set a foot to the right, he wanted to take the entire stage move, because that's what you do with a movie. He'd been out of practice so long. But no, it's I've had Jerome Robbins was a very contentious director, and would fight for ideas. But otherwise, no, I've had a very smooth relationship with directors.
Do we have another question from the audience? The lady there at the back, Lucy.
Hi, is that working?
Yeah.
Yeah. With the rise of sort of big budget musicals like Spider-Man Turn Off the Door or something like that, I can't remember the exact wording. Do you think that musical theatre is becoming too commercialised and there isn't enough sort of emphasis on creativity?
Oh, musical theatre has always been accused of being commercialized, and yet good pieces get done in the commercial framework. In fact, I think the best musicals come from Broadway, not from Off-Broadway, and not from regional theatres. But I think what you're talking about is the kind of cynical attitude of some producers who decide to do a musical based on the work of very popular pop songwriters and try to make a story that will fit their songs rather than get a story and have the songs fit the story. And it's trying to use, it's because of the success of shows like Mamma Mia and Jersey Boys, where a catalog of songs is then shoved onto the stage and a story sort of built around them as an excuse for what we could call a concert. And that's what those shows are, and I think that's what you're referring to, because that's certainly the idea behind Spider-Man. It was about the songwriting, not about the story itself. I think there's a trend to that, because anytime a show makes money, other shows come in and imitate. So that does happen, but I don't think that's the springboard. I think the majority of shows on Broadway are shows that start with ideas for telling a story, not let's use the catalog or something. And also, the recent attempts at that have not been successful, so I don't think that trend will last very long.
Yeah, Lucy, would you like to ask a question?
Hi. Oh gosh, that was loud. I've been thinking a lot lately about the act of taking a writer's work when they've died, and that work hasn't been published during their lifetime, and then publishing it, even if it's against their wishes. I've been thinking partly about the publication of Harper Lee's prequel to Kill a Mockingbird, which is coming out soon, but you could also look at Kafka and his best friend rescuing books from the fire against his express wishes. And I was wondering, sort of as a creator yourself, how you feel about that.
Oh, I would be on the writer's side. If the writer doesn't want to get published, it shouldn't be published. But you know what happens after the writer dies, particularly a first-rate writer or a very popular writer, or what we could call a great writer, though I don't like using the word great a lot. It's overused. I think the writer's wishes should be followed. I mean, there's a reason that writer didn't want that book published, and yet there are scavengers constantly after a famous writer died. Again, publishers just want to squeeze every possible cent they can, and they don't really give a damn about the writer.
Gentleman in the front row.
Thank you. Hello. I was just wondering, you've obviously collaborated as a lyricist with composers before, but obviously also written musicals when you've written the lyrics and the music. I was just wondering, do you think it makes a difference to the quality of the score if one person has written the music and one person has written the lyrics, or do you think it's better if it's all coming from one mind? Do you think it makes the music and the lyrics better linked and a more coherent score?
No, I think a good songwriting team writes as one. It makes them good. And in fact, you can develop a style. When you hear Richard Rodgers' music, writes with Larry Hart, Rodgers and Hart have a kind of signature, and Rodgers and Hammerstein have entirely different signature. But Rodgers and Hammerstein think it's like as one word, one person. I don't think there's a difference in quality has to do with the piece, not with whether one person writes or two people write. I think there are people in teams who write extremely well, and when they write for somebody else, they don't write well because they don't respond to the partner that they're writing with. On the other hand, somebody writing music and lyrics write a wonderful a score that has wonderful lyrics and not such good music, or vice versa. I don't think there's any guideline. Hello?
Hi. Oliver, is it working still? Okay, cool. Fine. Do you have another?
Thank you.
Sure.
Gentleman in the middle.
Hello, hiya. So when you do write the lyrics and the score for a musical, what do you think? Is there a way that you approach it? Do you write the lyrics first or the music first, or does it work? Sort of?
Well, it actually starts with the book writer. I think the book writer is the key to any show, and so I sit, and I think most composers, of what we could call serious musicals, meaning musicals that are attempting to tell stories. I don't mean solemn. I don't mean serious in theme. I just mean a work that tells a story through music and lyrics. I think it varies, of course, from piece to piece, and you can't always you don't always know what the guideline is. But I always start with a book writer, and we've talked for months, and certainly weeks, and maybe even months before setting pen to paper. At least I do, and I like to let the writer start writing before I do. I start maybe doodling at the piano or fiddling with lyric ideas, but not setting anything until I know exactly the style of writing, because I want to imitate the book writer's style, his approach to the characters, his approach to dialogue, as closely as possible, so that the piece will seem to be seamless. But we also talk about why songs. That's the first thing that has to be discussed when you write a musical. Why should this be a musical, not a play? What is it the music will do that will enrich it, not just decorate it? The trap is decorating, because you can take any story and drop songs. The problem is you've got to have something in which the songs are necessary to the piece in order for the piece to go here. And once you've got that, then you start plotting where the songs are useful. And you say, all right, well, in this scene when she tells her husband that she's leaving him, that might be a song. So with the book writer, you plot the entire piece, and then the book writer starts and does work and sets the tone, dialogue. And for me, and in my rhythm anyway, then I come in and start filling in where we talked about the song and imitating the book writer. So I think the essential collaboration of the book writer and the songwriter, and that it starts there. And whether music or lyrics come first, people have different ways of doing it, as you may or may not know. When Rogers wrote Hart, Rogers always wrote the music first, because Hart was very lazy and very difficult to get to sit down and work. Whereas with Hammerstein wrote the books as well as the lyrics, and he always wrote the lyrics first, or almost always, and Rogers wrote the music later. So it depends on the very sort of. For me, I like to keep both. I think it's, if I get a lyric idea for a song, a so-called refrain line, what nowadays is called a hook, but some central idea that the song keeps reiterating, I'll start with that perhaps, and then maybe set that to a melodic line, and then develop a melodic line, and then develop the lyric along with it. I think I always work that way, sort of in tandem, and or together, I should say. And other writers may not.
Work independently, or do you also enjoy collaborating with other composers? Which is your preferred method of approaching your composition?
Oh, I would rather write my own things that there are fewer people to argue with. And I enjoy writing with other writers, but I've only written lyrics to other people's music. The only time I wrote music to other people's lyrics was I collaborated with Shakespeare on a song. But otherwise, I've only written lyrics to other people's music, and it's slower and less satisfying. Also, I don't enjoy writing lyrics the way I enjoy writing music, so that's another reason. But I'd rather write by myself.
Fair enough. Do we have another question? The gentleman on the end, in the grey t-shirt.
Hello. I just wanted to ask, in terms of, we've seen cinematic adaptations of Sweeney Todd and Into the Woods. Of the other musicals you've composed, is there any of them that you would really like to see a cinematic adaptation of?
Well, I've had a number of them done, West Side Story and Gypsy, and A Funny Thing Happened on the Way to the Forum as well. I think Company would make a good musical. It is of its period, and it can't really be updated. It really is a show about the 1960s, and so I don't know. But as a structure and as an idea, I think that would make a good movie. Follies might make a good movie. There was a move afoot to do Follies, which, as some of you may know, takes place in the theater and is about people performers who have been in the theater who were in the theater 20 years earlier than when the show takes place. There was a move afoot to do that as a movie equivalent about movie stars who no longer are at the top of their game or who are no longer working, and the show is a get together. It's about a party of all these people. and it's about reminiscing. And so a long time ago, we thought of doing it with actual movie stars reminiscing, and then the sets for the movies that they made would still be on the lot, and so they would revisit that, and suddenly they would enter, let's say, a house that they had entered as a set, and inside would be their younger selves, and then you would use film of the old movies to show their younger selves, because again, as many of you may know, the show is on two levels of time. It's the contemporary people and their younger selves as sort of ghosts, and that would work very well, I think, as a movie. So I think Follies and Company would probably be good candidates. I haven't thought beyond that.
Okay. There's a gentleman at the back.
Hi, my favourite musical of yours is Assassins. I was in it twice when I was at school and fell in love with it. I'd like to just wonder how that came about, because it's a really interesting show, and also whether you think that modern musicals are as kind of challenging as that show was in terms of its content.
Oh, I think a lot of musicals today have what you call challenging content. I think that's one of the things that's opened up in the last two generations, starting in about 1970s, and suddenly any subject could be written about. And but as far as how Assassins started, I was on a board of an organization that had been founded to encourage the work of unknown playwrights, but it was for musicals. And one of the scripts that came to the board's attention was a script called Assassins. And I took one look at the title and I thought, wow, there's a musical there. And I read it, and it was about a Vietnam War veteran who is, as you would say in your country, demobbed. And in his civilian life, he doesn't know what to do, and he is sort of goaded by some kind of evil man who is sort of the spirit of evil, who gradually goads him to assassinate somebody. And so I liked the idea, and I brought it to a playwright, John Weidman, with whom I'd written a show called Pacific Overtures. And he liked the idea too, so we got in touch with the man who wrote the original and asked if we could have the rights to his title, that is to say, the rights to do a show about assassins that would use none of his material. And he said, okay, and that's what we did. But the idea was based on an idea. The show was based on an idea of a man named Charles Gilbert, who wrote the original. And as a matter of fact, when he gave us the rights, he said he would like to retain the rights to do his version. And we said, of course. I don't know if he's ever actually put it on the stage or not.
Do we have another question?
I have to say,
Lady here in the front
incidentally, I should add, the production across the river is really good. Across your river. At the Chop.
When you ask your questions, if you can direct them to the camera just above my head, what he can see.
I've read a lot about the approach that you take to constructing a lyric. I've read sort of the 2 big volumes, and I found that really interesting and really inspiring. I was just wondering, I'd be really interested to hear about the approach that you take musically in terms of, I guess, harmony and melody and sort of chord structure and all that kind of thing.
The problem with talking about music is that you have to use the kind of arcane language that only musicians understand, which is why I didn't cover music at all in the books, because they were written for a general reader. And if you start talking about dominant and tonic chords and Neapolitan sixths and suspensions and that sort of thing, that's ABC to a musician, but XYZ to anybody else. So if you want to ask a specific question, maybe I can answer it, but I couldn't possibly answer generalized questions without talking about things like long line composition and the stuff that I learned mostly from Milton Babbitt, with whom I studied. So if you have something specific, I'll see if I can answer it. I guess not.
Got the microphone back. Actually, that was sort of what I was interested in, because I'd read that you studied with Milton Babbitt, and I'm a music student, so that's what interests me.
Do you know his music?
I know a little about it. It comes up a lot in music textbooks. So yeah, well, how do you approach something, for example, looking at the harmony? Because I also compose, and that's the thing that I find hardest, just knowing where to start without just doing tonic, dominant, and then making it interesting and varied.
First of all, I would ask you: do you write away from a piano, or do you write at a piano, or an instrument, or a guitar, or do you write away from the piano?
I usually start away from the piano and then kind of move to the piano as I go on.
That's what I do too. You start with what's in your head, and then you think, oh, I wonder, uh-oh. Then you go to the piano and you play it, and you realize how terrible it is. But no, that's what I do too. And I think the idea, generally I would say, you can get a harmonic style for, if you're writing a score, you can sort of, by getting to know the characters very well, it should suggest a harmonic language, and even a rhythmic language too. For example, when I was writing A Little Night Music, I decided that because it was a kind of very waltzy musical, that I would put everything in 3s, 6s, 9s, and 12s rhythmically throughout, and use French harmonies, because French waltzes. Ravel is one of my idols, and French waltzes seem to me to be the spirit of the waltz, not the Viennese, which is the spirit of the waltz to other people, but not for these characters. And so that dictated a kind of harmonic language, Ravelian, in fact, throughout. Whereas when I was writing Sunday in the Park with George, I wanted something spikier, and so I sort of leaned towards Britanesque harmonies. And of course, when I was writing Follies, I was doing pastiches of the harmonic languages of all the major musical comedy composers of America and of the 20th century, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. You can often dictate the piece you're working on. It should suggest something, even if it's not as specific as the examples that I just gave. But it probably should suggest a harmonic language. And of course, it will always have your own language in it. Even if you're whatever you're writing. I'm imitating Ravel, but it is Ravel, and so it will come out. But I think you can sort of decide that way. It'll help guide you through the piece. The other thing is, I would advise doing what movie composers or classic movie composers did, which is take a few themes that, get themes that you associate with individual characters. I'm avoiding the word leitmotif because that's too restrictive, but themes that that evoke for you the characters that you're writing, and use those with your musicianly knowledge in inversion and augmentation, and with reharmonizing and disguising. And the score will start to have a coherence to it that will be more useful and more telling and more effective, I think, than just a collection of songs, which of course you can always do. But and not many composers do it, but I think the better shows have some sense of continuity in them. It doesn't mean that every song has to come out of a given motif, but that the score is flavored with material, and that way also you don't have to invent so many tunes. You can take tunes and vary them. I'm a big believer in theme and variations, and particularly when you're trying to sustain a score over a period of 2.5 hours, which is constantly being interrupted by dialogue. One way of making it seem like a piece and not just a potpourri is to make the most out of the least, which is a pretty good principle of art anyway. But I would suggest it doesn't mean that every time the father comes on he has to sing a variation of the same tune, but you can. Sweeney Todd's a good example of making the most out of the least, I think, in which the music somehow all coheres. It doesn't sound like a score of individual songs. It sounds like the songs all have something to do with each other, and I think that will help you out if you do that. Don't try to write too much. Write something and mine the music you write. Really look at the themes you write. Really look at the harmonies you write, and see what's implied in them. It's something I learned from Milton Babbitt. What does this chord progression imply in terms of key changing, in terms of well, it can even suggest melodic ideas. But mind your material.
Do we have another question?
This? Oh, that's better. So there seem to be a lot of shows and movies about lifting the fourth wall or breaking the fourth wall and demonstrating what it's really like in musicals or theatre recently, from NBC's Smash to like Birdman, or I'm sure you know lots and lots of them. And I was wondering, do you have a favourite of those, or if you don't, what would you like people to take away from shows that attempt to tell you what it's really like to work in this field?
Well, first of all, there are two kinds of shows you're talking about. There's the one that is now called the meta musical, in which everybody drops out of character all the time and tells you what they're doing. And then there are musicals that take place backstage. Those are two different kinds. If you're talking about the backstage musicals, I've written my own. Gypsy is a backstage musical, and to a certain extent Follies is too. I don't think there's anything you want people to take away. It's just a milieu I know and other people who work in the theater know. And there have been many movies about making movies. There have been many plays about making plays. The meta musicals, the business of breaking the fourth wall, which is a different matter, in which you constantly, they used to call it Brechtian because they, for lack of a better umbrella term, because Brecht was constantly breaking the fourth wall, or not constantly, but often breaking the fourth wall. Breaking the fourth wall is, I think, a crutch. I think it's a way of excusing it. It's a way of saying, we don't take this seriously. Those musicals generally are what I would call college musicals, and what they do is make fun of the process, because the authors don't dare do anything that doesn't make fun. They want to be, because they're afraid of being made fun of if they don't make fun of things themselves. And one of the ways you do that is break the fourth wall and and let the audience in on the joke, so to speak. Then you've got nothing at stake, so the audience can't accuse you of being stiff or being pretentious or being serious or anything else. So those are two distinctly different kinds meta theatrics, I think. Does that answer your question?
Yes, thank you. That's great.
Pardon me.
Gentleman in the front row.
Hello. I was just wondering how much of yourself goes into your work. So, for example, characters in, say, Sweeney Todd are pretty difficult to relate to, but then, of course, Frank and Charlie and Merrily We Roll Along, and maybe even a song like Finishing the Hat. I was just wondering kind of what extent of yourself do you put into that, and is it dangerous to put too much of yourself in, or do you prefer to kind of stay far removed from the content?
Well, you have astutely picked the two songs in which I inserted myself. Certainly, Merrily Roll On, Opening Doors is very much sort of autobiographical, not specifically, but the notion of being young and knocking on producers' doors and auditioning for people who don't listen to you and that sort of thing. That's the lingua franca of being a young songwriter. You have to go through all of that, and or almost everybody does. I did, certainly. And Finishing the Hat is certainly a self-described the moment of creation, the moment of not the moment, but what you go through when you're working intensely on something. It's the trancing out, and because I felt that Seurat did that, I was able to relate to it myself. But otherwise, obviously, anything you write involves part of yourself, no matter what you write. It's your point of view, and so part of you is in it. But writing specifically about yourself, I try not to do that. First of all, I would only do it if it was part of a story that I was telling about other characters. And it happened that in the case of Merrily, I was able to relate specifically to this moment in the characters' lives. There's another moment in it when they're auditioning at a party that also relates specifically to my life. And in Finishing the Hat, I was taking a general moment about the creative act. But otherwise, nothing is specific, and yet everything I write has something of me in it, or it wouldn't be mine. I mean, that just goes with writing.
You start, do you always see it through to the end, or have there been instances where you've gotten halfway and kind of decided something isn't working and kind of just abandoned it, or do you always see things through to the end?
You just hit a nerve. I'm in the middle of making that decision now. No, generally what I've started has gone to a conclusion because I do a lot of sniffing around before committing myself to a project. I mean, even if it's an idea of my own. Because I know how long it takes. I'm a slow writer, and it's a major time commitment to write a musical, and so I want to be sure that I'm going to be interested in it all the way through, and that there's enough danger in it to keep me interested. Because one of the traps you can do is to write the same show you wrote before under a different guise, and that's deadly, I think. And yet you can do it. It's an easy, comfortable trap to slip into. But unless the project scares me a bit and I don't know where it's going, I don't want to commit myself. At the same time, I want to be sure that it can be completed. So those are difficult decisions to make, to commit yourself to writing a piece. Because 6 months later, and that's a long time, you may discover that you don't like it as much, or that you don't know, or you don't think it's going to work as a story or as a piece that will grab an audience's attention, and that it wasn't worth writing, etc., etc., etc. So sometimes you have to abandon things. But I did abandon one show, but that was because in the middle of writing it, somebody else wrote a show that had a vague similarity to it, and that got onto the stage first. And even though that show was a failure and closed in 2 weeks, it sort of took the bloom off the peach for us. So, but otherwise, no, I think I've completed everything that I started.
Approach it as you intend to write an entire musical, or do you sometimes write, say, isolated songs that you later fit into a bigger storyline?
No, I always write specifically, because each show has a different character and a set of characters. And I think generally what you write for one show will not work in another show. There have been exceptions when I've taken tunes and reused them or utilized them in a different way out of pieces that never got produced or whatever. And but maybe only twice I can think of where I did that. No, I think each piece has its own very particular flavor and character. Certainly the lyrics do. And so it's rare that you can shove one song into another show. That happened a lot in the pre-Rodgers and Hammerstein era, back long ago in the 1930s and 40s, the so-called golden era of musicals, when the shows were so flimsily put together because the demands on them weren't as great as they were after Rodgers and Hammerstein's revolution of storytelling through song occurred, that you could take one song from a show and not use it, take it out of one show, and because the show was too long or something like that, and put it in another show, and it wouldn't matter. But once Rodgers and Hammerstein said, which they did with Oklahoma and Carousel and their other shows, and everybody then followed suit, that you could tell a story through the song. It wasn't just a collection of songs, but it was a score. Once that happened, then I think that was the end of putting a song in a trunk and then taking it out and utilizing it in another show. At least I don't do it. And I don't think...
Gentleman in the middle.
I was watching a lot of sort of the documentaries about making of Into the Woods, and all of the actors, particularly people like Meryl Streep, they always said that your lyrics and the music that you write is so easy to act, and that it's written almost for an actor. How much, when you're writing, do you think about the actor and how they perform and sort of like the pauses that they take and the motivations that they have? Is that something you think about constantly, or at the end, or sort of?
No, I think about that in detail. When I write a song, I have a reason for when there's a pause in the phrasing, in between the phrases, let's say, or a reason when there is a change of tempo or key, all having to do with the acting of the song, all having to do with what the song is about. Not necessarily specifically for the actor, but for the character. And if you write for a character, and very specifically for that character, then you're writing for an actor. And I will also take into account, some of you may know this story, it was in my book, and I've told it many times, but when Glynis Johns was cast for the lead in A Little Night Music, and I was writing a song for her, she had, specifically during rehearsals, I wrote a song for her. It was in fact Send in the Clowns, and I knew that she had a very sweet and silvery voice, a very bell-like voice, very pure musically, but no breath. She just could not sustain a tone, and she couldn't sing a long phrase. So I wrote it in short phrases for her, which then, because they were short phrases, suggested questions like, isn't it rich? Isn't it, etc. And therefore, the actress's limitations helped write the song. And therefore, when she sang it, it fit her perfectly. And I don't think anybody's ever sung it better, because it was for her playing that character, but it was for Glynis Johns playing that character. And I've done that occasionally. Every now and then you know who you're writing for. That is, say somebody has been cast before the show is completely written. That was true of Ethel Merman in Gypsy. It was true of Angela Lansbury in Sweeney Todd. It was not true of Glynis. That's why, as I say, it was written during rehearsals. But you're not often granted that privilege, and it's also very dangerous to count on that, because you might be writing a song for Angela Lansbury, and then her agent calls and says, I'm terribly sorry, she's got this other job. So it's dangerous. You know, in Shakespeare's day, he had a company, and they wrote what he wrote for. They acted what he wrote for them. But that's not true in the world of commercial musical theater. And so what you do is you write for the character. And if you write very, very specifically, I like to say that if an actor comes to me and says, why is this word here? What is it? I have a reason. I can explain. Now, the actor might not agree with me, or it may sound like nonsense, but it's something that I thought about. Why do I have a lot of words dealing with this image? Or why is this phrase short and this phrase long? Why is there a pause here? I also stage them in my head. In my head, she gets up out of the chair, she goes and pours herself a drink, she sings on the way, there's a pause while she pours the drink, then she resumes. Now, the director may throw that out and do something else, but I have made a blueprint, and I can explain to the actor what I meant. And actors often need that help, and it enhances their performance. If they know what the author intended, then they can play against it, or they can do what they wish with it. But there's a reason. I think it's terrible for an actor to have to say to an actor when he comes up and says, why do I say this? And you say, well, I don't know. It sounds good to me. I think you have to have an answer.
So are you frequently involved in the staging of your musicals, particularly for maybe the first few times they're put on? Do you have a lot of interaction with those actors?
No, usually what happens is I will talk to the director and say what I had in mind, and then I stay away from rehearsals. First of all, I think it's bad for authors to be standing at the back of the director while he's directing. And so in a good collaboration, the director will spend a couple of weeks putting the show on its feet. And so the staging is there, where people move, the traffic, so to speak, and that the tone of the scenes is there, and the actor's intentions for the character are there. And then to have the author come in and say, that's supposed to be a comic scene, or she's singing that song too fast, or why is she moving there, etc. So that you have specific questions you can ask the director, and then you'll have a specific discussion, the two of you meaning you and the book writer and the director, and maybe even the actors. So everything is very specific, and I think that's the most valuable thing you can do, is stay away until the director has done at least a sketch of his work. And once you've done that, then I think you're in good shape.
Fair enough. Do we have another question? The lady in the second row, in the black jumper.
Hi. I was wondering if there were any stories that you really wanted to make into a musical, like anything you think would be really perfect, but you just haven't either never attempted or never quite finished the idea.
Yeah, I think there probably has been. Yeah, the show that I talked about that we abandoned a couple of years ago because another show was similar was one, and there was a movie that I wanted to make into a musical, but somebody else made it into a musical. I wish the producer had asked me, but otherwise, no. I usually depend on people. It's suggesting stories to me. So, somebody I've worked with comes and says, let's do this. 2 or 3 times in my life, I've suggested a story. When I was in London in 1983, I saw at Stratford East, I saw a production of Sweeney Todd, the play, and in Christopher Bond's version. And I thought, I'd love to do that as a musical. So that was an idea of mine. I've had, trying to think, Passion was an idea of mine. I saw that movie, Passione d'amore, and I was very taken with it, and I thought that would make a musical. Most of the other shows I've done were brought to me and or suggested by somebody else. And although the one I'm working on now is an idea I've had for a long time. And most of them, I'd say, were from other people. But no, there's no story that I can think of that I didn't at least try to interest people in.
Another question from the audience? Gentleman on the right.
Hi. You've touched on it briefly in previous answers, but I was interested to know how long it normally takes for you to actually compose a score to the degree that you're fully happy and satisfied with it. How long does it normally take?
You mean from the inception, from, hey, let's do a musical about this? Or let's tell this story? Is that what you mean?
From inception to when it's ready, yeah.
It varies. Gypsy was written in 3 months because we had a deadline. Whereas Funny Things Happened to the Way to the Forum took 4 years. There's no guidelines. Generally, I'd say if you think of it as taking a year to a year and a half to the actual writing of it, of the first go round, and then these days often you then have a reading of it, a so-called workshop, or in the old days you went out of town. You tried it out in Boston, Washington, New Haven, and but I'd say if in the days when musical theater was really thriving, in the Rodgers and Hammerstein, the kinds of musicals we're talking about in the 1930s and 1920s, people would turn out 2 musicals a year because it were just essentially collections of jokes and songs, often from the trunks of the writers. So they were very easily put together, and they gimcrack structures, and they were essentially star vehicles. They were, let's write a show for Ethel Merman, let's write a show for whoever it is. And then when Rodgers and Hammerstein came along, and it became incumbent on the writers to write stories with songs, then I'd say, if you look at the records of those people, they turned out a show about every 2 years. By which I mean it took 2 years to write it and put it on the stage. So I'd say, you could average it out, say it took a year and a half to write and 6 months to get on the stage. But nowadays it varies a lot. And also, it's much harder to get a musical on these days, much harder to interest a producer in a musical. So quite often, some of the time is taken presenting it to people and trying to interest them. But it's not a brief process.
Thanks. Sorry, Stephen, we're having a bit of trouble hearing you. Would you mind readjusting your microphone?
Microphone is here.
Okay.
Better? Is that better?
Okay, that's right. Okay, do we have any further questions? Our gentleman here in the front.
I'm sure you have a lot of people asking you to write music for certain ideas for musicals. I was just wondering, what do you think makes a good idea for a musical? What would make you accept something and reject something else?
Well, no, I don't. No, people do not pound on my door asking me to write songs. That music. Generally, I have to go to a writer myself and say, let's do a show, or a writer I know, or know whose work I know will come to me. But that doesn't happen very often. And I don't think that happened. That happened in the 1930s and 40s, but that doesn't happen very often anymore, at least not to me. And the way there's no answer to your question except a story will sing to you or it won't. Sometimes a writer will come to me. Well, here's an example. John Wyman wrote a play about the opening of Japan in 1853 and brought it to Harold Prince to produce and direct it. And Hal said, I think it should be a musical. So he brought it to me, and it didn't sing to me at all. What it seemed to me was it required background music, not sung music. And I said that to him. To both of them. I said, I'd be happy to write background music, but I don't think this sings. And Hal pushed it on me over a period of a few weeks and said, I wish you reconsider. And so he made me sit down with John Wyman, and Wyman and I kept talking, and out of that, I suddenly thought, well, maybe it can be a musical. And then I got an idea for how to write the score and how to combine Western and Eastern music. And once I got into it, then I was enthusiastic. So in that one instance, I was really pushed and persuaded. And I have the same thing with Hal. Well, I've tried to get him to direct Sweeney Todd, and he hates melodrama, and he hates mid-19th century stuff. And I pushed, and eventually he found a way to get himself into it, meaning to find a way of being enthusiastic about it. But I don't start musicals very often myself.
Okay, do we have another question? Gentleman here on the left.
Cheers. I was just wondering, of contemporary composers in the 20th and 21st centuries, like dramatic or otherwise, who do you particularly admire?
I never talk about composers in the theater, because if you praise one, then the ones you don't praise get hurt, and if you criticize somebody, they get hurt. So I just don't talk about any contemporaries' work. I'm happy to talk about dead people, And I just wanted to add one thing to the last question, which is what is it that sings to you? A famous example is that Rodgers and Hammerstein were approached to do Pygmalion as a musical, and they said, "Oh, it all takes place in an office. This doesn't sing." And then, of course, they brought it to Lerner and Loewe, and it became My Fair Lady. So it's what's sauce for the goose, etc., etc., etc. But as far as the composers whom I most admire, there's a pretty, in musical theater, it's a pretty ordinary list. It's Kern and Harold Arlen and Rodgers and Cole Porter and Irving Berlin. I think they're all terrific. And as far as classical composers go, and my heroes are people like Ravel and Britten, Stravinsky. I'd say mid 19th century, Brahms on to mid 20th century is the sort of composers of that period are the ones who speak to me the most.
And did we have a question in the middle as well?
I was just wondering if you had any thoughts on the future of musical theatre and anything that sort of needs to be done or should be done in order to sort of maintain it, especially I guess it seems that there's less of a demand for it, and yet it's sort of still continuing, fortunately. So I was just wondering if you had any thoughts on that.
Obviously, it's going through various changes, but whether the musical theater is one of those questions that's just unanswerable. As true of any art, whether any art. You can't predict, because what keeps art, and if you could predict it, it wouldn't be a surprise. So I think the thing is to tonight there's a musical opening in New York that is going to cause quite a stir, called Hamilton. It's about Alexander Hamilton, one of our early politicians, and it's a rap musical, but it's a musical with one foot in traditional musical theater and one foot in rap. It isn't just rap, but it's rap as applied to traditional musical theater. It tells a story. It's a historical story. It's based on fact, and it does not make fun of itself. It takes itself seriously, goes out on a limb and takes chances. And it's the first serious rap musical, and there may be others after it, or maybe not, because it's a very specific style. But the point is, it's another way of looking at a musical, and nobody would have predicted that.
Question at the back there.
Thanks. On a similar note to the last question, it seems that at the moment, lots of musicals opening in the West End are either revivals or stories that are already kind of out there in the public's perception. Could you comment a bit on the future of new stories as musicals, or what it'll take to bring a totally new musical?
It's always more dangerous to tell a new story. It's always safer to tell a story that the audience is familiar with, or that's been a hit movie or something like that. I get involved. I get interested in stories, whether they're that or not. That it makes no difference to me. But a lot of producers are very wary of telling a story that nobody knows, and a lot of authors are scared of making their own stories. Or if they're not, they find that making a story is very hard, very difficult to do. To make up a good story and to tell it theatrically. Let's just talk about it as playwriting. It's, how many really good plays get to the commercial theater? Good art is not a common thing, and particularly good commercial art, because it has one foot in the box office and one foot in quality. And so the same thing is true of musicals. They're hard to make up. They're very hard to write, even when you know the story. So, if I were a producer, I would encourage new stories as opposed to adaptations. Having said that, I'm at work on an adaptation. So.
Do we have another question? Gentleman here in the front row.
You have a lot of people who, I think, I may be making this up, but you have a lot of people who approach you and sort of come to you for advice. People like Jonathan Larson, who came to you for help with rent and stuff like that. What would be your sort of main piece of advice to a budding composer or a lyricist? What would it be to just get going, or is there something that you start with? What would be your token advice?
Theater writing, because it's live, as opposed to painting a painting and putting it on a wall. Theater being a collaborative effort, it seems to me the only way you can learn it is to do it. And that's true of writing, whether you're writing alone or with a collaborator. But, you know, it's as a friend of mine says, write something, put it on, write something, put it on, write something, put it on. Easier said than done, but I think that's the way to do it. I think you can certainly, you know, if you're talking about songwriting, there are tools that you can learn. Just the way a painter can learn how to mix paints and how to thin paints, how to stretch canvases, et cetera, basic tools that are necessary for your craft. And so you can certainly, if you're going to write music, you should know something about harmony and about melodic structure and about rhythmic structure and maybe even something about orchestration, though in the musical theater you don't often orchestrate your own stuff, but how instruments work, certainly something about the human voice and how it operates when it sings. Those are tools, but the creative part of it seems to me, is you just have to do it. Again, you can. It seems to me, by studying songs that you think are good and structures, musical structures that you think are good, meaning structures of musicals is what I mean. You can learn a lot by that. But I do know that when I was 17 years old, and Oscar Hammerstein made me an apprentice on a show called Allegro, I learned more about the theater and, in fact, how to put on a show. Even though that show was a failure both artistically and critically, you often learn by mistakes. I learned more, I'd say, in those 3 months than I have, all the years since. Meaning I learned basics is what I'm saying. I don't mean to be glib about it. But in the same way, writing, you will learn so much more about writing by writing and then letting people hear it, even if it's in a school or in an amateur group or what we call over here stock company or something like that, or just sitting and playing to friends in a living room. You can learn a lot about what you're writing. But I certainly would advise, if you're going to write music, to study music and to know something about composition. And if you're writing lyrics, is to look at the lyrics of you that you admire, that have been written before you, and find out something about how they work. I try to do. I'm going to tout my own book now, but I try to do that in the book I've written, two books that I wrote. Just that. I thought somebody ought to put down on paper something about the techniques. It doesn't matter whether people like what I do or not, but I do know something about the techniques and about the tools, and I wanted to very specifically put those down on paper, and I did. And at least then people will know what the tools are. Then you can use them any way you want. If you don't want to use the hammer to pound in the nail, you don't have to use a hammer. You can still use your hand, or you can pound something else into the wall besides a nail, maybe. But the point is, you know what a hammer is and you know what a nail is.
We've got time for one or two final questions. So does anyone have a final question they'd like to ask? The lady there at the back.
Hi. I was just wondering, of all the musicals that you've worked on, which would you say you're the most proud?
Oh, goodness. Most of the musicals I've worked on I like for different reasons. But I've said it before. The one that approaches always, every writer will tell you whatever they've written, there's still things they would like to improve or they wish they could make it better. It's very rare that you write something of any size that satisfies you completely. The musical that comes closest to satisfying me and my collaborator in terms of what we wanted it to be is Assassins. And there's very little in Assassins I want to tinker with or improve. There are a couple of moments that I would like to improve and don't know how to. But generally that comes very close to what John Wyman and I wanted it to be. I have, in my heart of hearts, I have enormous feelings for Sunny in the Park with George, because it is about making art, and that is something, obviously, that I've spent my life doing. And so I have... but in terms of fulfilling everything that was intended, Assassins is much the closest.
we have one final question? Yeah. In which case, thank you so much, Mr. Sondheim, for joining us tonight. It's been an absolutely fascinating Q&A, and we've really enjoyed having you here tonight. So can you all please put your hands together and thank you, Mr. Sondheim.